European colonialism. When you think of European colonialism, three key players always get the most attention. It's always the British, French, or Spanish. And I mean, like, yeah, come on, let's be honest. They made the biggest mark. Yeah, maybe the Portuguese and Dutch come in like 4th and 5th place. But they weren't the only ones. So here are some lesser-known European colonies you may or may not have heard about. For example, in the 1600s, Sweden had a bunch of short-lived colonies in the Americas, West Africa, and the area of what is now Parangipetai in southern India. Denmark was more successful at establishing small little trading ports across the world in the Americas, West Africa, and Asia. They had 3 main settlements in India, Tranquebar, which is now Tarangambadi in India, and they also had Serampore, and they had the Nicobar Islands. And from there, they had the Danish East India Company, which went on to the Spice Islands in what are now Indonesia. They also used to own these islands, but then they sold them to the US, and now they are the American Virgin Islands. Then in the late 19th and 20th centuries, Germany, or German Prussia, took their stab at trying to colonize areas around the world. In some parts of Namibia today, you can still see signs written in German. About 2% of their population still speaks German, and they even have like German services like newspapers available. Now, Russia never colonized anything really west of their domain. They were more focused on going continentally east to the Pacific. They even took over Alaska, and they had a few outposts in what are now California. But there was a weird period of time in their history when this guy, Colonel Ashinov, traveled to Sagalo, in which is now Djibouti, and then he claimed it as a Russian colony, but the Russian government was like, no, we are not sanctioning that. It was all over the news, and then eventually the French came in and kicked them out. Even Scotland tried to get in on the game. Like, they tried to take over parts of the Americas and even like the mouth of the Gambia River. Today, the crowning remnant of their past probably being Nova Scotia, aka New Scotland in Canada. They were also the first people to try and attempt to build like a canal across Panama, but then they didn't realize it was like way too hot and the mountains were too high, and it was like way too impossible with the technology of the 1600s, so it was way too expensive, and they kind of like gave up and lost a lot of money. Anyhow, and finally, probably the weirdest one, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, or more specifically, the Duchy of Courland, which was a vassal state of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Basically, it's part of what is now Latvia. Anyway, long story short, back in the 1600s, dude, back in the 1600s, everybody was going crazy. Anyway, in the 1600s, they established and built a bunch of forts at the mouth of the Gambia River. Dude, everybody wanted the Gambia River. That was an important river, man. And they established settlements on New Courland, which is now the island of Tobago, from Trinidad and Tobago. That's right. If this colony had withstood the test of time, the people on Tobago today probably would be speaking Latvian. And there's a lot of others we didn't talk about, like the Italians and the Belgians, but whatever. I have to keep this video under 3 minutes. Cheers!